Leading up to the Into the Woods update for Grounded, I was fully expecting some adjustments to weapons, because if we're being honest, combat became very trivial with max level weapons after the Hot and Hazy update. Specifically, I was expecting the Antlion Greatsword to get nerfed because it became the new mint mace, wherein it was basically the best option in most fights, and it shredded just about everything in its path. What I was not expecting was across the board nerfs and massive increases in upgrade costs. After looking at the current numbers, I felt like I had to make a video on this topic to hopefully compel the developers to take a second look at these changes and to make some adjustments. So in this video, I'll be explaining all the changes to weapon upgrades and provide an example of how much this change impacts gameplay, and in my opinion, not in a good way. Before we begin, I want to thank all my channel members, especially the Overseer91 and Grey Knight who help make videos like this possible. Let's get started. So just as a heads up, this video is going to be pretty number intensive, and for those of you that don't care about the details, I'm going to give you the summary of it right up front. Basically, the reason I'm making this video was because after playing about 10 to 12 hours of the public test server for the Into the Woods update, and taking a look at the differences in weapons from the Hot and Hazy update, where they added the ability to upgrade weapons via the smithing station, I realized there was a massive nerf across the board to weapons. So the gist of this video is that your weapons are going to do less damage when upgraded than they did during the Hot and Hazy update after this next update, unless they change something. They're going to have lower durability, which means they're going to break more often. It's going to cost more to upgrade them to max level, and the repair cost is higher. So that's the gist of what this video is about. Now I'm going to get into the details. So for those of you that only cared about what the main point was, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like button. And for everyone else, let's continue on and actually look at the numbers. So right now we're looking at the numbers from the Hot and Hazy weapon upgrades. This is from the Hot and Hazy update. That's when the smithing station was added. And of course, there's 7 levels you can upgrade from. When you craft a weapon, it starts off at level 0. Then you need the smithing station to upgrade it. So for example, upgrading a weapon to level 1 will give you 10% extra damage and 10% extra durability, and it will cost 2 quartzite shards. You can see the rest of the numbers down to level 5. That's where you have to start making your first choice. So at level 5, when you're going to level 6, you have to make a choice between whether or not you want to upgrade using Mighty, which would be quartzite shards, Salty, which would be salt shards, Minty, which would be fresh, which would be minty shards, and Spicy, which would be spicy shards. The first number there, the 60%, is going to be for the spicy, salty, and fresh, or the mints. And the 65% is going to be for Mighty, because Mighty gets a bonus. It gets extra damage because it doesn't have any of the candy upgrades, basically. So you'll see the 60 or 65, and then the 70 or 80%. So Mighty's 80%, the other 3 are 70. The cost of upgrading changes when you get to level 6. Instead of it just being the quartzite charge, you're actually going to use globs. The globs have different costs. So the cheapest globs to make are going to be the mint and the spicy, which cost 5 shards each. The salt cost 8 shards to make 8 salt shards to make 1 salt glob, and the quartzite costs 10 quartzite to make 1 quartzite glob. So right now, as I said, you can upgrade to level 7, and if you upgrade a weapon, any weapon in the game, it doesn't matter which ones they are, to level 7, using the Mighty Path, it's going to cost a total of 212 quartzite shards. That's to upgrade to level 5, and then to make the globs you're going to need to make the level 6 and 7 upgrades. For fresh, it's going to be 62 quartzite shards, because you need those to get up to level 5. Then you're going to need 75 mint shards to do level 6 and 7. Salty is going to be the same 62 quartzite shards, but it's going to cost 120 salt shards to get to level 6 and 7, because it costs 8 salt shards instead of the 5 to make the globs. And then spicy is going to be the same as fresh, but it's going to be the 62 quartzite shards and 75 spicy shards. So those are the costs right now. And honestly, to me, these were pretty fair. I didn't feel like it took too long to upgrade your weapons, although if you're somebody who's like a completionist and want to upgrade every weapon, or maybe you like one specific weapon and you want to upgrade it in all 4 different paths, it's a decent bit of farming, but it's actually not that bad. So now let's go take a look at the changes in the Into the Woods public test server upgrades, and you're going to see that not only the upgrades not as good, but the upgrade cost is super expensive. So here's the same information, but for the Into the Woods weapon upgrades, and you're going to see that now there's 2 additional levels. So instead of going just to level 7, there's levels 8 and 9. What you're going to notice probably pretty easily is that the damage and durability numbers are much less. In fact, from levels 1 to 5, they are half. So instead of going up by 10%, each level, they only go up by 5%. The cost to get to level 5 is the same, so there's no change there. The big changes are at levels 6, 7, 8, and 9. The damage durability, again, for everything but the Mighty, they go up by 5%. So you're seeing the total at the bottom is plus 45% instead of that plus 70%. And then for Mighty, it does go up by 10, but the max is plus 65% instead of the plus 80%. The big cost of upgrades is going to be levels 8 and 9. That's the jewels. Now, jewels are made from globs and from twinkling shells. This is where the upgrade cost gets extremely expensive. So to make one jewel, you're going to need 2 of each glob, and you're also going to need 1 twinkling shell. Twinkling shells are found from the scarabs that are pretty sparse right now. The most I've ever seen on the map at one time, I think, was 4. But for me, maybe I just have poor luck. I can almost never find them. There's only one that I pretty much know where it's always going to be. That's the one that's under the porch by the shed where the cap gun is that has the green shield bug. There's always one scarab in there. That's the one that I end up actually killing and getting its twinkling shell from. And actually, when I got it, it was on top of the, I think it's a fertilizer bag or something that's blocking that area. It was on top of there. And I was only able to kill it because I stuck it with a splat burst. You have to have, I think, a level 7 crossbow or a level, I think it's a level 7 crossbow, and you have to get lucky and hit it in one shot and kill it. Otherwise, it'll probably run away and you're not going to kill it. So besides the fact that those are hard to kill, there's not many of them, and you're going to need a ton of their shells in order to do the upgrades. So now let's take a look at the actual upgrade cost for each of the paths into the woods upgrades. So again, here's the same information, but looking at the Into the Woods weapon upgrades, this time to level 9. And you're looking at these numbers, you're probably going to, maybe, I think the Mighty is going to be the one that just stands out the most. It's now going to cost 512 quartzite shards, plus 15 twinkling shells to get a weapon to level 9. For Fresh, you're going to have the 62 quartzite shards as before, but now you're going to need 225 mint shards and 15 twinkling shells to get to level 9. Salty is going to be the same 62 quartzite shards, but you're going to need 360 salt shards and 15 twinkling shells to get to level 9. And then Spicy's got the same numbers as the Fresh, but instead of the mint shards, you're going to need the Spicy. So these numbers are absolutely massive. So let's take a look at the difference between the current Hot and Hazy numbers and the Into the Woods numbers for each of the different upgrade paths, as well as how much damage you're going to be doing, how much less damage you're going to be doing, and all the other numbers. So first up, let's look at the Mighty upgrade path. Again, max level was increased from 7 to 9, so that's for all weapons. The max added damage or durability you get has been reduced from 80% to 65% for the Mighty path. The max upgrade now costs 300 more quartzite shards, and the max upgrade also requires 15 twinkling shells. So basically, when you upgrade to level 9, you're going to be doing less damage because you're only going to be doing plus 65% instead of the plus 80. Your weapons are going to break a little bit faster because you're going to get only the plus 65% durability instead of the plus 80. You're also going to need 300 quartzite shards and 15 twinkling shells for each weapon. 300 quartzite shards is a lot of quartzite shards. There's a couple places on the map where you can probably get like 100 or so at a time. You're going to basically be spending a ton of time farming quartzite if you want to go the Mighty path. Next, we're going to look at the Fresh and Spicy. I combine these because they have the same numbers basically across the board, except the different shards they're going to need. So again, max level has been increased from 7 to 9. The max added damage and durability has been reduced from 70% to 45%. So that's a much bigger difference than the Mighty upgrade path, which was, what, 80 down to 65? This is 70 down to 45. Massive decrease in max damage and max durability. The upgrade costs now, you're going to need 150 additional mint or spicy shards, depending on which path you're going, compared to the Hot and Hazy update. And of course, you're also going to need 15 twinkling shells for each weapon. So in this case, for the Fresh and Spicy, you're going to be doing far less damage. Your weapons are going to break far quicker. You're going to need way more mint and spicy shards, which are much harder to get in numbers than the quartzite. And you're also going to need the twinkling shell, so good luck finding those scarabs. Last but not least is going to be the Salty upgrade path. So same as the others, the max level has been increased from 7 to 9. And it's got the same damage and durability reduction of 70 to 45%, as 70 down to 45% as the Fresh and the Spicy. However, the cost to upgrade to max level is going to be 240 more salt shards than currently in the Hot and Hazy update. And then again, you're going to need those 15 twinkling shells. So the salt's going to be the most hard. It's going to be the hardest to upgrade, in my opinion, even though there's a decent amount of salt. That you're going to be doing a ton of salt farming. So you're probably going to be spending a lot of days in the sandbox gathering salt and then wandering around the other parts of the map until that stuff respawns to getting salt just to upgrade your salty weapons. So after looking at all of those, I wanted to also look at a weapon just to show you the difference in damage that they're going to do. And I picked the weapon that I think most people will be most familiar with because it was the best weapon in the game after the Hot and Hazy update. That is the Spicy Antlion Greatsword. So the Antlion Greatsword, I fully expected to be nerfed in this update. In my opinion, I thought they should... I was expecting them to nerf the base damage, and honestly, I thought they would nerf it more than they did. But they did reduce the base damage from 5 down to 4.5. The biggest change, though, was the attack speed. It was reduced from 7 down to 3.5. Now, you're probably thinking that's about a 50% reduction. I don't believe the attack speed has a linear scale, because when I was doing testing on the bows, the Crow crossbow has a 0.5 reload speed, and the insect bow has a 3.5, which should be 7 times faster. It was not. It was actually like 1.8. So I don't know exactly what the difference in swing speed is here, but it is a big reduction from 7 down to 3.5. So the max spicy damage has been reduced from 8.5 down to 6.5 per swing. That's a 23.5% reduction in damage, and the spicy durability has been reduced from plus 70% down to plus 45%. So continue on with the Spicy Antlion Greatsword. It's now going to cost 150 more spicy shards to max it out. It's also going to cost the 15 twinkling shells. It's going to deal 23.5% less damage per swing while also swinging slower. And you're also going to need to repair it more often and at a higher cost. So one thing I haven't touched on up to this point was the repair cost. Right now, I believe it costs Antlion pincers and maybe quartzite to repair the Antlion Greatsword. Going forward, you're going to actually have to use the, depending on what you've upgraded it with. So if you want spicy, you're going to actually need to use spicy globs to repair it. The same goes for any weapons that you upgrade. You're going to have to use globs to repair them. I believe at level 6 and up, I can't remember exactly because I haven't done a lot of upgrading and I haven't done a lot of repairing yet. But you definitely have to use globs to repair now. So here's a quick side-by-side comparison of the Hot and Hazy update versus the Into the Woods update for the Spicy Antlion Greatsword. It now can go up to level 9 versus level 7, but it does less damage. The stun didn't change. The speed got significantly reduced, and it does 23.5% less damage, and it's slower, and it costs more to repair. So essentially what they've done in this update, they made the decision to, in my opinion, I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional. I'm not sure how much they tested it or thought about it, but I feel like they went from one extreme to the other where before this update, after the Hot and Hazy update, once you got the, in my opinion, once you got the Antlion Greatsword, the game just became, it was like trivial. Even before that, the game was not difficult. Like the combat wasn't difficult. And I know a lot of people, I know I did, and I know many other people asked for harder, make the game harder. And the way they went about doing that, I don't agree with how they've done it. Instead of making the insects harder and not like, I guess what I don't like when I've played games in the past, any games I've played in the past when adjustments have been made, I don't like when our characters are nerfed or made weaker, or the enemies are just made harder by having more HP. In my opinion, that's lazy game design. They didn't do that here, I don't think. I don't believe they changed the health of enemies. They may or may not have. I don't know, because we don't know what the health is. I just had my best guesses before, and I haven't went back and started testing it. Because one other thing I haven't mentioned, they changed combat. So the first swing from your weapon, instead of doing the damage that's shown on the screen, so like, for example, if this was going to do 6.5 on the first hit, it's actually not going to do that. It's only going to do half that. So the first hit does 50%, the second does 100, and the third does 150. So they're kind of like making you want to do, basically this was their way of getting rid of the block canceling, because people would just spam block cancel. They would hit, block cancel, and then hit again, and just basically completely nullify stamina or the animation for actually having to do the second swing. So rather than removing block canceling for whatever reason, I don't know if they couldn't do it, they decided to make it so that your first swing is less. So overall, the first time you hit an enemy, you're going to do less damage. It's going to take 3 hits just to get that even amount of damage of the 6.5 in this case. You're doing less damage. And just in my opinion, I just don't agree with this change. And I really hope they look at it and do something about it, because while I want combat to be harder, I don't want to spend like 80 to 90% of my time playing the game going around and collecting resources just to upgrade them and repair my weapons. One of the big complaints at this point, and I don't play on WoW mode very much, I usually play on medium. On WoW mode, the biggest complaint is durability of weapons and armor is too low, and people are constantly having to repair their stuff. In this case, especially with weapons, because you're only going to be getting that plus 45% durability instead of the plus 70 for the spicy, the salty, and the fresh upgraded weapons, your weapons are going to be breaking much more quick. And I know from playing that some of the enemies have debuffs where they actually break your armor faster. You're going to be repairing your armor more often. So these changes, in my opinion, they didn't go about it doing it the right way. I really hope they go back, and I'm not saying I don't want them to revert back to the hot and hazy numbers where we could just shred everything. Because to be honest, combat's not any harder right now. I went around and I was like, okay, I knew I used to be able to kill a wolf spider in 2 to 4 hits during the hot and hazy update with a level 7 spicy antlion greatsword. So I took my spicy antlion greatsword over to a wolf spider, and I think I killed it in 6 hits. So yeah, it took 2 extra hits. It might have been it was 6 or 7 hits. I think it was 6. It doesn't matter because it really depends on crits. I killed it in a couple extra hits. I maybe had to block one more time. It didn't make combat any harder, but now my weapons it's taking longer to kill things, and my weapon's going to break faster. And overall, to me, this is just going to add a ton of unnecessary grind to the game, and I'm not a proponent of grind. I don't mind playing a game and having to play it and having to put time into it to progress, to improve my character, to improve my weapons, improve everything. But I would rather it be skill-based rather than be time-based. To me, I think I speak for most people. Please let me know in the comments down below, and please if you agree with me, I guess basically share your opinions on this with the developers over on the Grounded Discord. They're looking for feedback. They've already started making changes. As I'm recording this, they just put a patch out earlier today, making some changes to things that people were reporting. I guess the proper word is complaining. There were some things people that didn't like, and they started to address those already. And I know they're open to addressing things. This weapon change, in my opinion, is really turning me off the game, and I don't want to be turned off the game. I really like the game. I like playing the game. I like making content for the game. I like playing the game and streaming it. It's a fun game, but if it's going to turn into a super grind fest, I'm going to check out much sooner than I planned on checking out. I'm not going to spend hours every day. I'm not going to spend 3 hours grinding resources to go play the game for 30 minutes to an hour. That's not fun to me. I would rather it be skill-based. I would rather the combat be harder by making the enemies have more attacks, by making the strengths and weaknesses actually matter, where maybe they're super resistant to the things if you're using the wrong weapons or the wrong upgrade pass, and they're super weak to the right ones, so you have to learn those things. But just going down the path of nerfing all the weapons across the board because they were too overpowered, and I haven't had a chance to look at every single weapon. From my experience, the Salt Morningstar still seems like it's super strong, and it might actually, from what I've tested, it might actually be like maybe be the best weapon now. I can't say that for sure. It didn't feel like it was nerfed as much as the others, but the bottom line is you have to upgrade now to level 9, and you're not even going to get back to where we were at level 7 before, while spending far more resources and spending far more time. And I don't think anybody wants to nobody wants to play this game and just sit there and be a quartzite miner, running around grabbing quartzite, and then having to, oh, I want to upgrade my salty stuff. Okay, I have to spend like 5 hours in the sandbox getting salt over and over and over again. And then, oh, I have to go get lucky and get the scarabs so I can get the twinkling shells just to upgrade. And then, oh, by the way, by the time I did that, I've now broken all my other weapons, and I have to go back and get more globs in order to repair them. Like, I just don't like the path to this specific part of the upgrade. The update I really don't like, and I really hope they take a look at it. So let me know down in the comments, do you agree or disagree with what I have to say here? And if I'm wrong, let me know. If you think everything's cool, that's great. I like to hear other people's opinions. If you agree with me or if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, in any case, make sure you guys are heading over to the Grounded Discord, to the public test server channels, and leaving your feedback, positive or negative, because they take it all in. I do appreciate that. So we can all work together and try to make the game better. I know I speak for most people when I say I think we want the game to be challenging, but I don't think we want the game to just turn into a grind fest. If I want a grind fest, I'll just go play Cookie Clicker and sit there and click my finger away all day long, or play some game, or play an MMO where I have to sit there and cut down trees and make flowers, or make flower baskets or something, or whatever I don't know, whatever it is you do in MMOs. Just sit there and make 1,000 of an item just to level up. That is just tedious, mind-numbing gameplay. It's not challenging, it's not skill-based, and it's just not the kind of thing that I want. So hopefully they address this. This is probably my biggest gripe with the update. There's a lot of things I like, there's a lot of things that I don't like, but this is probably the thing that I don't like the most, was this change. I was really expecting them just to not touch the weapons, other than reducing the base damage on some of them, and then to add armor upgrades, which they did not do. Instead, they made it where we can upgrade our weapons even more. And honestly, to be completely honest, I think we could probably get away. I didn't upgrade any weapons to level 8 because I've only gotten one twinkling shell in like 12 hours. I literally cannot find... When I find the scarabs, they get away. And I just can't... I'm sure there's going to be a way to get them easier, but like overall, it's just turning into a super grind fest. And it's making me not want to play the game as much. So that's what I have to say on these upgrades. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to click the like button and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.